If you rely on pop culture alone, you might believe the entire state of New Jersey is simply one extended turnpike exit, a gray industrial passage linking New York City to anywhere else. It's the target of every joke about the state. But if you actually examine the map and truly study the physical reality of the terrain, you'll discover that New Jersey isn't merely a paved parking lot. It's actually a geographic marvel that by all accounts shouldn't exist as a single political entity. To understand how New Jersey became the suburb state, we must first understand the land that permitted this transformation. The four faces of Jersey. New Jersey is small. It ranks 47th in size at just over 8,700 square miles. But its small stature conceals chaotic geography. It's essentially a massive peninsula, a distinct wedge of land almost entirely defined by water. To the east lies the Atlantic Ocean. To the south, the Delaware Bay. Defining its entire western border is the Delaware River. In fact, New Jersey is the only state in the Union where every single border is defined by water, except for that straight 48-mile line in the north, separating it from New York. This peninsula status creates a natural funnel. If you're moving people and goods up and down the East Coast, you almost must go through the narrow waist of New Jersey. The state is sliced into four distinct physiographic provinces, running diagonally from northeast to southwest. Understanding these slices is key to understanding why people live where they do in the state. In the upper northwest corner lies the Valley and Ridge province. This is true Appalachian country, featuring the Kittatinny Mountains and the Delaware Water Gap. It's rugged, rocky, and forested. If dropped here blindfolded, you'd assume you were in rural Vermont or the wilds of Pennsylvania. Just southeast of that sits the Highlands. This is ancient rock, some of the oldest in the United States, forming a landscape of rolling hills and sparkling lakes. It's beautiful, but for centuries, it was physically difficult to build large cities here. It remained a resource extraction zone for iron mines and timber rather than a place for density. Then the land drops, and this is where things get interesting. We enter the Piedmont. If you examine a population density map of New Jersey today, the Piedmont is that glowing red strip cutting across the state. Piedmont literally means foot of the mountain, and this is a lowland rolling plain sitting between the rugged highlands and the flat coast. While it's only about 20 miles wide, it contains the majority of New Jersey's population. Why? Because the geography demanded it. The rivers here, the Passaic, the Hackensack, and the Raritan, were navigable but narrow, perfect for early industry but restricting for massive urban sprawl. South of the Piedmont, we hit the inner and outer coastal plains. This is the area giving New Jersey its nickname, the Garden State. The soil here is loamy and rich in the inner plain, perfect for the blueberries, cranberries, and tomatoes the state is famous for. It's flat, easy to traverse, and incredibly fertile. However, moving toward the Atlantic, the soil turns to pure sand. This is the outer coastal plain, home to one of the strangest geographic anomalies on the East Coast, the Pine Barrens. Imagine a forest so dense with soil so sandy and acidic that traditional farming was impossible. For centuries, while New York and Philadelphia were exploding in population, this massive chunk of New Jersey remained a virtual wasteland of pitch pines and cedar swamps. It acted as a giant empty hole in the center of a megalopolis. While the rest of the Northeast was industrializing, the Pine Barrens remained wild, cementing a divide between North Jersey and South Jersey. This physical separation is crucial. The geography of New Jersey didn't provide a single central location for a capital city to grow naturally. There's no central river basin that unites the state. Instead, the geography pulls the state apart. The rugged north looks to the Hudson River. The flat south looks to the Delaware River. New Jersey's physical form is a corridor, a bridge between two titans, the deep harbor of New York City on one side and the river access of Philadelphia on the other. This meant New Jersey was destined to be the space between the Great Divide, East and West Jersey. Before New Jersey was a state, it was the Shayikbe. This was a name given to the land by the Lenni Lenape people, the original inhabitants who occupied this region for over 10,000 years. Shayikbe roughly translates to land bordering the water, a poetic and accurate description. The Lenape weren't just passing through. They were a loose confederation of clans that thrived in the very geography that would later define the suburban divide. In the early 1600s, the Dutch claimed the north, establishing New Netherlands and centering operations around the Hudson River. Meanwhile, the Swedes established New Sweden in the south, along the Delaware River. They set the template. The north looked to the global hub of New Amsterdam. today's New York City, and the south looked to the river settlements that would eventually feed Philadelphia. In 1664, the British seized the territory from the Dutch. King Charles II granted the land to his brother, the Duke of York. But the Duke did something that would doom New Jersey's urban future forever. He didn't keep the land for himself. He regifted it. Thinking the land between the Hudson and Delaware rivers wasn't particularly valuable compared to the port of New York, he sliced it off and gave it to two loyal friends, Lord John Berkeley and Sir George Carteret. These two men didn't govern the colony jointly. They split it literally. In 1676, the quintipartite deed was signed, drawing a diagonal line through the state from the northwest corner down to the Jersey shore. East Jersey was owned by Carteret, a region settled largely by Puritans from Long Island and New England, as well as Scottish immigrants. It was commercially driven, religiously strict, and tied economically to New York Harbor. West Jersey was owned by Berkeley, who promptly sold it to a group of Quakers. This region became a haven for religious freedom. It was agricultural, egalitarian, and tied economically to the Delaware River and the eventual city of Philadelphia. This wasn't just a line on a map, it was a cultural chasm. East Jersey had town centers and a focus on trade. West Jersey was a collection of spread-out farms with a focus on agriculture. The state was literally born as two separate colonies facing away from each other, back to back. The two Jerseys were politically reunited into a single royal colony in 1702 by Queen Anne, largely because the proprietary governments were a chaotic mess. But while the government was unified on paper, the settlement patterns were already set in stone. Then came the American Revolution. New Jersey's geography, as the corridor, made it the premier battleground of the war. Washington spent more time in New Jersey than any other state. The major battles of Trenton, Princeton, and Monmouth were fought here. When New Jersey became the third state to ratify the Constitution in 1787, it selected Trenton as its capital, a compromise location situated right on the border of the old East and West Jersey line. The people of New Jersey remained skeptical of centralized power. Having been whipped back and forth between Dutch patroons, Swedish governors, British proprietors, and two different colonial assemblies, the early citizens developed a fierce obsession with local control. They didn't want a strong state government telling them what to do. They wanted their local village, their local township, and their local council to hold the power. This obsession with home rule was codified into the state's DNA. The impact of boroughitis. In the late 1800s, New Jersey caught a fever. It wasn't a biological disease but a political one, and it was called boroughitis. To understand why New Jersey has no singular dominant city of its own, you have to examine a very specific 15-year period between 1890 and 1905. Before this era, New Jersey was organized into large townships, massive chunks of land that governed all the little villages and farms inside them. The catalyst was the Borough Act of 1878, and more aggressively, the school tax laws of 1894. The state legislature passed a law stating that all citizens in a township had to pay for the debts of the township school districts. The wealthy commuters who had just started moving into the newly built railroad suburbs in places like Bergen and Essex counties revolted. They were living in distinct wealthy clusters and didn't want their tax dollars subsidizing the schools of poorer rural farmers or the chaotic industrial centers in the same township. So they used a loophole. The law allowed any village, no matter how small, to break away and form its own independent borough if the residents voted for it. The result was absolute chaos. In 1894 alone, 26 new boroughs were formed. Over the next few years, dozens more followed. A single township would shatter like glass. Instead of gluing it back together, New Jersey decided to name every single shard as a different town, giving it its own mayor, its own police chief, and its own school board. This is why New Jersey has 564 municipalities today. It's why you can drive down a single street and pass through 3 different towns in 5 minutes. This boroughitis effectively killed the possibility of a unified city. While New York City was consolidating in 1898, bringing Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island into New York City, New Jersey was atomizing. Newark, which was once a powerhouse rivaling Boston, found itself boxed in, surrounded by tiny independent suburban boroughs that refused to be annexed. The wealthy suburbs hoarded their tax revenue, creating excellent local schools and leafy neighborhoods, while the industrial cities were left to rot with shrinking tax bases and rising social costs. This cemented New Jersey's reputation not as a place of cities but as a place of suburbs, a dormitory for New York and Philadelphia. But what if it didn't have to be this way? Let's play a game of geographic what if. If we look at a map of northeast New Jersey today, the borders between towns are invisible. It's one continuous, unbroken wall of urbanization from the George Washington Bridge down to Elizabeth. So, let's treat it like one. We're going to combine the 5 northeastern counties of New Jersey: Bergen, Hudson, Essex, Union, and Passaic. We'll dissolve the borders of the hundreds of tiny boroughs within them and form a single municipal entity. Let's call it Jersey City Prime. When we run the numbers, the results are shocking. Combined, these 5 counties house approximately 3.7 million people. If Jersey City Prime existed today, it would instantly become the 3rd largest city in the United States. New York City is at number 1 with 8.3 million, Los Angeles at number 2 with 3.8 million, Jersey City Prime with 3.7 million, and then Chicago with 2.6 million. It would blow Chicago out of the water. This new city would cover about 700 square miles. The population density rivals and in some neighborhoods exceeds that of New York City. We're talking about one of the most intensely urbanized environments in the Western Hemisphere, hiding in plain sight under the label of suburbia. And this hypothetical city would be an economic juggernaut. It hosts one of the largest shipping ports in the country, Port Newark Elizabeth, a massive international airport, Newark Liberty, and the headquarters of major pharmaceutical, financial, and insurance giants. So why does New Jersey feel like one giant suburb? Because they drew the lines that way. But New Jersey isn't actually a suburb. It's a sleeping giant, a massive, disjointed metropolis that has been chopped into 564 pieces. It's a city that doesn't know it's a city. And perhaps that's the most beautiful irony of all. In a nation obsessed with building the biggest, the tallest, and the most impressive urban centers, New Jersey accidentally created something different. It built a metropolis that refuses to call itself one, a place where millions live in density but maintain the illusion of small-town identity, where you can walk from one municipality to another without noticing, yet each fiercely guards its independence. New Jersey didn't fail to become a great city. It became something more complex, more human, and more real. It became a place where geography shaped destiny, where history drew lines that couldn't be erased, and where millions of people found a way to live together while staying apart. That's not a failure of urban planning. That's the accidental genius of a state that never quite fit the mold and maybe never should have tried. Browse our free maps at ezelonmaps.com for any kind of detailed maps for travel or geography lessons in any part of North America or countries around the world. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.